Hey people, how are you? This is KhaazRa and welcome to a journey to $1 billion in sales. I was talking with a friend of mine just the other day and I would never tell anyone not to spend 15, 20, 25, $30,000 to get into a business. I would never ever do that, whether it be offline or online. But I will say this. I will say that you should definitely look at what you're getting into before you jump in, because even if you're online, there's so many moving parts to an online business that I think a lot of people get tripped up and think that, you know what, well, if I pay this fee, no matter what it is, I'll be able to start making money online right away. Well, if you're sitting at home and you stay with your mom or your wife or your girlfriend or someone who's paying all your bills for you, you may have enough time to do all of that. But having a business online is like having a business nowadays. Once you get into it, it's not just, you pop something on the internet and it just starts selling. No, there's Facebook ads. But first of all, let me back up. You have to freaking find out what product are you selling? Where are the problems out there? Who's your target market? Who exactly are you offering your product or service to? Then you create your product or service. Once you find out where the issue is, once you create your product or service, how will you package it? How will you create your offer as opposed to just your product? Once you do that, then how will you get it out there to them? There's probably 1 million people selling the same exact thing online. It seems like they're all doing almost the same exact thing. So now how will you get your offer out there in front of theirs? Are you going to charge a lower price? Are you going to do the ads yourself? Are you going to write the copy or the marketing for it? Are you also going to be the salesperson for it? You're going to be the customer service person for it? Are you going to build a website at the same time? Are you going to do the social media? There's a lot of different moving parts, and when you finally come to it, you're probably going to end up spending quite a few thousands of dollars to get this online business off the ground. What I would suggest, and again, I would never tell anyone not to do a certain thing. I would never tell anyone don't get into business, or to put them in a situation where they're like frozen. I would just say, look at what you're doing. I would probably tell someone, especially if you're just starting out, I would prefer that it would be better, in my opinion, if you started out with something that was already set up and it allowed you to do what you do best. As an example, right? And I'm just going to use myself. Let's just say you're selling a financial instrument. This is not something for me. Let's say you're selling insurance for another company, right? You already have the back office taken care of for you. You don't have to worry about payroll, even paying yourself. You don't have to worry about taxes, right? You don't have to worry about the customer service. You don't have to worry about the technology aspect of it. You don't have to worry about fulfillment. There's so many different things that you do not have to worry about, where you are allowed to focus on your skills, on what actually produces income. Now, some people say, you know what? I want to work for myself. I want to be my own boss. You can still be your own boss, because if you're good at what you do, you are going to be your own boss, for freaking sure. Now, even if you can be your own boss, and if you're not good, you won't make any money. So what is the freaking difference? The whole point of it all is to make enough income and to live a fruitful and a healthy, a fun, exciting life, so you can have more time to do the things that you really want to do. Of course, you have to make income to do that. So that's the whole goal of it anyway. It's not just so you can say, I'm a boss, or I'm an entrepreneur. Those words don't even mean anything anymore nowadays. You could be an entrepreneur, what they call intrapreneur, where you work within a company and still have total control of your entire life. You can work from home if you're good enough. You can work in an office if you like an office environment. You have your health covered, your benefits. You have a whole ton of things covered for you. And you can make enough money where you don't have to work all year long. There's tons of companies out there like that. So everything is already set up for you. That would be my suggestion, as opposed to jumping into something that may not even be around that long, that's consistently changing all the freaking time, right? And everyone is almost doing the same exact thing, where there's not a whole lot of new stuff going on. And then on top of it, there's a whole slew of things that have to be done on the back end that maybe you just are not aware of. So maybe you're a working parent. I mean, everybody can't, be online offering the same kind of courses. You know, it's just almost like having, I guess you have liquor stores on every corner. I guess you're going to have, you know, I guess people are going to be doing the same thing or something similar online as well, which I think is just going to bring the value down more and more. And not everyone can be an expert right away. I know that to be an expert, sometimes you just need to read a chapter ahead or something like that. I've heard of that, but that just means you read a chapter ahead. You're not necessarily an expert in the truest sense of the word. Of course, you can lead someone if you read ahead. You absolutely can lead, but it definitely does not make you an expert, in my humble opinion. Definitely does not. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I remember when we set up our company, we had some people come in who were brand new. They were like vendors, and they came in from their company. Now, they knew more than we did. Well, at least we thought they did, because they read ahead. But man, they freaking screwed us all around with the information that they were giving us. And I'm glad we caught some of it, because it would have cost us millions of dollars, and we would have been, it probably would have ruined our company, to be perfectly honest with you. And I recall saying, you know what, let's not do that. But just them pushing us and quote unquote being the experts, and we found out that one lady had just freaking got hired at the company not too long ago, but she worked at a similar company, so she understood the components, but she didn't understand this other entity's program. Let me just freaking say the name. So she worked for First Data, right? She came from a company called Task, which basically ships out most of all of your credit card processing equipment in America. It's called Task. Some kind of way she got a job at First Data, and she became what you call, I think it's called business manager or something like that. She was just a glorified salesperson. And she barely knew anything. She knew a little bit more than that one part, but you know, there's no one business that only needs one part. There is no one business that only needs one part. So it totally screwed us around. We ended up, basically, to be a long story short, we ended up not going with that particular program. And to this day, we've had so many issues with that now we have branched off to the point where we don't even want to work with that kind of entity anymore. So you have to be careful. You can start off and you probably can make a few sales initially, but you are also going to lose clients too. By charging, by saying certain things that you really don't know what the heck you're talking about. I prefer to get a client and keep a client, right? Now you got to start somewhere, so don't get me wrong, you have to start somewhere, but it's always good to be kind of like ethical and honest about it. You know, if you don't know, hey, you know what, I will find the answer for you, and people will appreciate that, as opposed to coming off like, you know, you absolutely know these things, and when it comes to the point where you need to produce these services or products that you sold the person on, it's going to come out that you really don't know. It really will come out. So in face-to-face, it comes out in, like in our industry, hello, I have this issue, right? I need you to help me. Okay, I'll help you. I'll call you back. And they never call you back, or they just start dodging you, and you don't really get anywhere. You go circles and circles and circles. You start to realize who really knows what they're doing and who doesn't. In the online world, and I think that's great for people who especially don't like face-to-face, who are not good with people. I think online business is absolutely fantastic because you don't have to interface with people as much, or it's another way for you to get around it. But what happens in the online arena is that since they can't get in contact with you, and since the product or service is not what you said it was, it ends up becoming a chargeback. And if you're in any online business, most, not all, but most online businesses have like over 20% chargeback, like over 20 freaking percent, right? That's average. And so let's say, you know, you made $10,000. In some cases, you know, the ad spend alone is half of that, right? Then you have to include your time. So if you've made $10,000, the ad spend is like maybe half of that, maybe $5K or something like that. And maybe it doesn't have to be that, but let's just say it is, right? And then you have all your other expenses. You have to pay this person to do that, because you're not doing everything by yourself. You have to pay your VAs, whoever you're outsourcing to, or maybe you pay for a course or something like that. And then in addition to that, you have your chargebacks, right? And then you also have your credit card expenses to go along with that. So you may be making what you would be making if you worked a regular freaking job. You know, I would say maybe do both until you get to that point where you can walk away. Because I've done some slight looking into it, and I was like, man, a lot of people just aren't making money. You know, a lot of people are not making money online. And then of course, there are a lot that are. And it's the same thing in the offline world too. You have a lot of people that aren't making money, and you have a lot of people that are making money. So the point is that if you can get into a situation where all this back end stuff is kind of already done for you, like the whole Michael Gerber E-Myth way, right? Where you have a system in place where things are automatically kind of happen efficiently, and you focus on your main thing, which is maybe sales or marketing, wherever that may be. So I would definitely say that you should it's really good if you can get into like a quote unquote franchise type of environment. I was talking to a guy named Chad over the weekend, and one thing he mentioned to me was that he says that getting into an online business, and we both met each other I think at a Brendan Burchard event out in, I want to say San Diego or I don't know, somewhere in northern California or something like that, and San Jose I think it was. And I mean, I was like overwhelmed with the amount of information that I received there, and I was just so impressed by it as well. I think Brendan is like a freaking awesome guy, right? And then I immediately developed this trust with him. I already developed a trust because I spent the money to be there, right? No one spends $2,000 and then flies all the way from Florida to there and not have some kind of trust, right? So I already had a certain level of trust. I heard him, boom, reaffirm trust. Then another speaker came on selling a totally different product. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. But it was referred through Brendan, so he must be good, right? So my mind is already spinning. Now my mind is spinning in another direction. Then another freaking speaker came on and was selling something else from the stage. And I'm like, wait a minute, whoa. So my head is spinning. I don't know which way to go, left, right, back, forward. I have no which way to go. Then I think another speaker came on. I'm like, man, do I need all these things, right? I'm saying to myself, and so it's so many, in each one of those, there were other things to do to get, like one guy was, I can't think of his name right now, I think he worked on your voice, right? Which you absolutely need that. But let's say if you're a singer, right? If you are a singer, you of course have to practice working on your voice, but then you gotta practice singing whatever it is you're supposed to be singing and all the other things that go along with that, maybe staying in shape, maybe going to bed on time, maybe eating properly, maybe getting speaking gigs, maybe you don't do all that, maybe you have a PR person that does all that stuff for you, the advertising, the marketing. Then you had another guy that worked on body movement, right? How you use your body and, like acting, so to speak. Everyone knows that you just don't act by itself. You have to memorize your lines. You definitely need to look good on camera and stay in shape. You have to also audition quite a bit. There's a lot of freaking work that goes into it. You just don't show up to his class and then that's it. Then you had another lady, she was selling some kind of online way to do business. I forget what she was doing. I think Shalene Johnson or something like that. And her thing was a whole nother thing. And then you had Brendan's program. I'm like, man, it's so much. And even with his program, there's a marketing aspect, there's a content creation, there's the Facebook ads, there's the Instagram ads, there's LinkedIn, there's so many different moving parts. And one thing Chad said is that, if you're a working person, it's a race against your money because it requires money to do a lot of these things. Some people say you can do it all yourself. Good freaking luck if you can do that. That means you have a lot of time. You really have a lot of time, or you're just super diligent and you're focused, which maybe it can be done. Brendan did it. So I don't know if he had children or if he has children, or maybe he was living with his girlfriend at the time, but it could be tough for a lot of people. And one really, and then of course he's been doing it for a long period of time. 5-10 years in the game, you figure out a whole bunch of stuff where maybe it becomes second nature, and you build up momentum at the same time, and maybe you get in at the right time so that your audience grows with you as well, whether you're superb or not. But there's content creation, there's so many different things, right? So again, what I'm saying here is if you can get into something, right, that already has a lot of things taken care of for you, where you're allowed to focus on what you do best, you can figure out the other stuff. And I think I mentioned this prior in a program where I think it was called Take Action. And I remember I used to work in New York, like in the Wall Street area, and I was doing technology consultation. And we would just go into like a pharmaceutical company or whatever kind of company it was in the Wall Street area. Whatever network issue they had, we were supposed to figure it out and fix it. Whew, that was a freaking brain teaser, right? That's why I don't have any hair now. But so one thing he asked me is if I was in school, and I was like, well, yeah. He's like, well, why are you in school? And I told him why. He was like, that's not really a good enough reason. I'm like, what do you mean it's not a good enough reason? I want to be educated. He was like, but do you think you'll be doing, like, what you're learning now, will it help you with this? And I was like, it won't. I was taking finance and I was taking engineering technology. Now, engineering is supposed to help you think. It definitely is supposed to help you think because you're doing all these mathematical problems and it teaches you how to be systematic in your thinking. But it didn't freaking help me with figuring out the network issue at some of these companies. Whereas if I would have gone into a situation, if I had to say, jumped into this whole network consultation, like maybe say, let's just say right out of high school, right? I would have learned all that I could on the job, realized what I don't know, right? And then realized what I needed to know, so I would have gone back into school or into some kind of trade school or online program, or whatever. That information would have made way more freaking sense to me because I would have had a purpose for actually learning it. And I think that is what he was trying to share with me. You must have a purpose. And it's the same thing, when you go to these online seminars or offline seminars, or you take an online course or an offline course. What is the purpose? Are we going just because the speaker says, you know what, hey, you can have dinner with me, or you can sit close to me? How would that help you? Sitting close to you will help you how? Is he going to whisper something into your ear that's going to make you $1 gazillion? Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe you meet someone who you can get into a business deal with. Maybe it does help you. But think about that. Just really, really think about it and try to be realistic as you possibly freaking can, right? The thing that's really going to help you the most is your digging in, taking action, making a few mistakes here and there, trying your best to do something that you have a purpose for. And then when you go to these seminars, whether they be offline or online, you now have a much deeper purpose and meaning for learning that information. I remember hearing Stephen Larson, this is like Russell Brunson's one of his like guys who does like the funnel building and stuff like that. And one thing that he said, because I went to ClickFunnels, to their headquarters out in Idaho, super nice people, man. Russell's the man, freaking marketing genius. And he had this like huge like bookshelf, right, with all these books, and we were like, man, damn, did he read all these books? It might have been, I don't know, I'm gonna just say 500 to 1,000 books. I don't count. It was a lot of books, and we were like, has he been reading all these books? And I didn't get the answer that day, but I remember hearing Steven say this when we were in Sandy. I think I went to go see him in Vegas. Yeah, I went to go see him in Vegas. And one thing that he said is that, and he was talking to a group of people, not just me, and he says that one thing that Russell Brunson used to do is whenever he and other, successful entrepreneurs, is that whenever they would have a problem, that is when they would pick up the book. First of all, what is my purpose, right? I can't fix, let's just say, I can't fix this copy. It's not working, right? Or I can't fix this marketing that's in this mail that's going out to my clients or to, client or people who I would like to become my clients, right? And they would go to a book, marketing for clients, right? Sending, direct mail to clients. Boom, do this, do that. All right, boom, I have a purpose for picking up that book. It makes sense. I go to that section, get the information, boom, right? And it makes way more sense as opposed to me just grabbing a marketing book, picking up the book, reading it from cover to cover, right? And then going, sitting down and watching the NFL or something like that, or watching a movie. It's not going to gel, it's not going to stick as well. But if I have a purpose in learning that information, it will make much more sense. And even myself growing up, I wasn't good in school at all. I remember like maybe around the 3rd or 4th grade, the information was just so freaking boring, and I could not see the usefulness of it. I could not see the purpose of learning this information. I didn't even see how it related to me, to be perfectly honest with you. Christopher Columbus, then you learn about Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Abe Lincoln. I'm like, where am I at? It just didn't relate to me, to be perfectly honest with you. It did not relate. And then you go into if you come from certain kinds of communities sometimes where you don't have that collective cohesiveness, you really don't have a purpose for learning the information then. And so it's like, you know what? And unfortunately, I really don't want to say this, but I think sometimes that's why people in these quote unquote inner cities who don't have a broader horizon, maybe, they get into things that really have a short lifespan on it. Because it's like, you know what, let me do this because I know it's quick money for me to buy these sneakers or for this car or to have a, you know, just have a blast right now. It makes more sense to them. And I say them meaning us, because I was in that situation as well. But when you have a bigger purpose, right, and you just have a purpose, to be honest with you, now you can go to college, just like you can go to an online seminar. You can go to college now. You can take that information, even the corny history, you know, where you learn about Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus, right? He was a villain, a criminal. Where he came from, so be it. But the man came from, he was like he was literally considered a criminal, right? So he had the opportunity to go and do some other things, and he went places, he got lost, he did this, he did that. But as bad as he may have been, and as much as he may have been ousted from where he actually came from, right, out of Europe, there's still some things to learn about that you can take and say, okay, wow, you know what, maybe I could take that piece out for this. You know, you may learn about Napoleon or something like that. Like, man, how did this guy freaking do all these things, right? You know, and now it makes more sense when you take some of his tactics, some of his strategies, and you say, well, you know what, let me apply that in my life. You know, you learn about Hannibal, right? And you say, man, how did Hannibal, why does the military to this day still you learn and study his tactics, right? And you take some of that information, and not that you're gonna be riding around with elephants and stuff like that, you know, don't get crazy on me, but now you can take that information and you say, you know what, how can I use that information and put it into my daily life? And now you have a purpose, where most of us wouldn't read up on Hannibal and Napoleon, you know, and some of these figures throughout history, because it may not have any purpose, right? It may not have any purpose at all. But when you have, I mean, you can go back into the community and you can help out your community. You can go across, you can go to Africa, you can go to Europe, you can go Australia, you can go wherever, Asia, and now you can, you know, or you can go to Little Asia in America, and you say, you know what, wow, I could use that information for this. I can sell this product and service. I can help this store out, this store out, this store out, this store out. And that's the way your online business or offline business can work as well. So when you learn the information, you have more motivation, you have more drive, and it makes way more sense to you. Even if you're online, right? Like, why would you want to learn Facebook ads? Just why? Why would you buy a course on Facebook ads? How can that help you? You say, because I'm going to run Facebook ads. Are you really going to run Facebook ads? Well, who's going to do the content? Who's going to do the marketing? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? Right? So you have to have a purpose. If you're going to do Shopify, why are you doing Shopify? Is it strictly just to make money? What is your purpose? Do you have a product you're going to sell? Are you going to learn? Or do you see a need that needs to be fulfilled in the community, in the world, wherever? You know, having a purpose, I mean, I'm telling you, it significantly changes the way you learn. And I remember Stephen saying something again. He says, you know, if you can learn for two, that's great. And I'm like, what do you mean learn for two? Learn for two means you learn for you're learning it to teach someone else, right? So you learn for yourself, but you're learning it well enough to teach someone else. Puts a whole different meaning on the word learning, and actually being able to apply the information, because if you can't explain something, sometimes you don't know it as well. And I remember even being in college, trust me, really not good at school at all, right? I wasn't good at school at all. And then I read something that made things click to me and said, oh man, there is a bigger meaning. All right, let me get back into studying. Even if it was, let me get back into college and study, right? So I began studying, and I remember having issues with math, like calculus and all these different kind of higher math courses, right? Or advanced courses. And I could not understand the teacher. I had a guy from Africa. I couldn't understand him teaching me addition. He was the language, the accent, the language, the way he taught was just way out of my league. I had no freaking clue what he was saying. Then I remember, I think a Russian guy. I could understand him a lot better, but I still didn't really understand. It wasn't until I went to a tutor. It was a regular, just a young black student, just like myself, and he just said over, under, out, in. And I was like, that easy? And then I remember being able to read the theoretical part. You know, when you're in college, you have to read like the, information. They give you like the theory behind it, and then you can go and apply it on the problem. That is so freaking true throughout almost anything you learn, right? So they say that in college, it's more theoretical, whereas online, it's more something that you can do and you can learn and apply. Well, it depends on what it is and who is actually teaching. It's not always the case. Definitely not always the case. But I remember specifically learning, and after that, math became so easy because I actually understood it internally, and I still had a purpose behind it. I wanted to go and start a business. I wanted to do all these different things, and so I had a bigger purpose for wanting to learn this. So I've been on here for about 25 minutes. It's a little bit late. I definitely want to spend some time with my lovely wife, so we can, believe it or not, I have a purpose to watch some TV with her tonight. So listen, thank you for listening. Remember, have a purpose in what you're doing. Not everything that you're going to purchase, you're not going to get an immediate return right away from it. So think about why you want to do it, how you're going to do it, learn it, and do it. You can go to KhaazRa.com, www.KhaazRa.com. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.